Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the 365 Message Center Show. We have quite a few messages to cover, and just a portion of those that we're going to cover. One is about Microsoft Purview and some new functionality that we're gaining to help us control what Copilot uses when it generates answers and content for your users. We're also going to talk about how you can create an avatar in Teams with a photo. Yes. And then we're also going to show you how you can create a SharePoint page using Copilot. Let's jump right in. Let's roll that intro.
What a lineup. What a lineup.
What a lineup. That and more.
Always
hello.
more. Always
yes. More. Hello, everyone. Episode 359. I spent last week in Chicago at Microsoft Ignite. I was very thankful to be able to attend and see so many people that watch and listen to the show, which is great.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
Got some interviews. A little bit. Some videos of some people who were willing to and able to meet up. And actually, most of them, it was just I ran into them in the hallway and they were like, hey! So, no, that was great. I loved it. So we're going to use those videos for a special coming up. But had a great time. And some of the things we're going to talk about in this episode was announced at Ignite, Darrell. So some very exciting things announced up on stage.
Yeah, it's good to see. Over the years that we've been doing this, and past Ignites too, where it was in person, Danny and I had the privilege of being able to record episodes at Ignite and see things just landing in the message center, where we'd often have to address messages before we actually get into talking about the message center with updates and what's happening there. So good to see another round of good updates in the message center during Ignite. We did say though that there were a number that landed beforehand as if to prepare us for it. Maybe there'll be some more next week that are related to Ignite again.
I think so. We're going to start seeing more messages in the coming weeks as more details are hashed out about things that were announced. But definitely some things that, and there's even some things that didn't make the show that were announced at Ignite as well. But I'm excited about what we're going to talk about. And if you are excited or maybe not excited about what we talk about, throw it down in the comments down below. If you're on the audio podcast or you're just wanting to engage with us on socials, we'd really like for you to do that. Do it at 365MCS on all the socials that matter. And you know what? I will say one thing that I heard a couple times at Ignite from people who watch the show. They use the chapters in YouTube to kind of skip ahead.
I am so glad, because it takes a bit of work each time, Daniel, to put those
in. It was mentioned. But what it also tells me is that maybe this episode we should pause in the middle of one of our announcements and tell people, that they should connect with us on social so they actually hear it, because they probably skipped this part where we're saying hi to everybody.
Yeah, that could be also where we slip in the sponsor of this episode, which is Domino's Pizza. I don't know. I was just looking for. Okay. We didn't clarify that one. Sorry. Withdrawn, Your Honor. Should we get into the first message then?
Yes, maybe we should. So, Darrell, tell us about how our meetings are going to get easier in Microsoft Teams.
Well, that's easy. We just don't attend them.
Okay, well.
Yeah, but there's something else that might help with this, at least with running them. Actually, I should probably have the message open so I could actually talk about it. That would be a great start. So it begins with the word updated, because it's already been updated, and that's really around. Well, we'll get into that when we read it. Updated. Facilitator in Teams meetings and chats. This is MC 937709. Facilitator, a new app in Teams, leveraging Copilot, and will be attending or can attend meetings to take notes with us. Yeah, that's right. Daniel, it is effectively like having the AI notes that we get at the end of a Copilot meeting or even a Teams Premium meeting, but actually been dropped into the meeting notes powered by Loop live. That sounds interesting, doesn't it?
It very much does, and this is something that you have highlighted, I don't know, back to me back many moons ago, where using AI to summarize our conversation and tasks in that recap was very useful, but it was after the meeting. And, then you have to make sure everybody sees it, and somehow, whether that's they go or you send it to, anyway, this is doing that live in front of you so that you can see that happening and understand. And really, I would assume that more people will take the opportunity at the end of the meeting to spend 3 minutes. Hey, everyone, let's check out the recap, check out what has been put out with the facilitator and decide, okay, are the tasks correct? Is there anything that we need to correct as far as what was talked about and blah, 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 instead of it happening once you leave? Because I feel like we change context when we leave a meeting, and you lose so much, right?
Yeah, you do. Yeah, and actually, talking of delays and the like too, the AI notes still takes a little while before we actually, can see them and access them, do our follow up, and then maybe forward them on to meeting attendees who can't access that. So, yeah, there's that delay, the possibility of forgetting to do that. This is going to certainly be a benefit to it. One thing also too that I'll remember, Daniel, when we created a video, I think it was on my channel, I can't remember, I'll link to it somewhere. But we went through when meeting notes first became available, and you and we pretended we were listening to Jeremy Chapman talking about something on the Mechanics show, and we were taking notes together. And so we went through that experience and what it was like to be taking notes at the same time as someone collaboratively in Microsoft Loop and the meeting notes. So it's going to be interesting to hear how people react and find this useful. Enough of talking about that. The interesting thing about how it's set up, it's an app that you need to make available in the Teams admin center. From my experience, it turned up and it's available for everyone already. So I think it might be the reverse. You need to policy it and say, I don't want it to be available for everyone. It'll be available to use in Teams meetings where you can add meeting notes. But it can also be turned on in chats as a way of taking those notes based on the content that has been put in the chat. So it's like an ongoing summary, and you can add to those in terms of notes. So yeah, interesting. It is available now. I actually found it just before we started preparing this show, Daniel. So I'm sure that we'll put some content together at some point to see what this looks like. But there are some screenshots in the message, so they look pretty accurate in terms of what it is. What do you need to do to prepare? Well, there's definitely some things to think about around making the app available, whether you do need to put in and activate some of the Purview features as well, the data security posture management, to make sure that notes that are being made about meetings are labeled correctly, which actually hints towards another message we'll do a bit later in the show. Known limitations. Anything else here that we should call out? No, I think we'll just say, as the purpose of the show is about encouraging you to read the message, go ahead and take a look at yourself.
Well, and that's what was updated too. So I think, in this message, having some of those limitations,
right?
It feels like we don't get this enough for some of the features that are rolled out, and I do like seeing that. It does, even that first bullet, it's kind of like, hey, we've seen this, we're going to fix it, but this is the way it is now. So I think just knowing about that there are there, keeping things in mind.
Yeah, and perhaps one of them, which wasn't clear, it's using loop meeting notes, which are not available yet for external meeting attendees. So what you will see is a shared experience with just people from your organization in that space. Great. Well, that's enough of that. We do have more messages to go through. So,
we do.
when is this happening? Targeted release worldwide will begin rolling out mid-November, which was last week. Expect to be complete by late November, so it's almost already rolled out to targeted release. It doesn't say anything about general availability. So, I guess we'll hear about that later. But let's switch over to the SharePoint space, Daniel. And I think we still need to talk about Copilot because there have been some interesting developments there. So get us on.
Microsoft SharePoint Page Creation Assistance from Microsoft Copilot. MC939928. This is exactly that. It is using Microsoft Copilot. Well, it's Microsoft 365 Copilot. To create SharePoint pages. So if you have a M365 Copilot license, you will have a new, when you go into you're in SharePoint and you click on the new, there will be yet another item in there to create a page with Copilot. And there is as this explanation, there's a bit of a missing component that Darrell and I discussed. Because if you think, okay, there's going to be a new icon or a new link there for page with Copilot. So I click it. What happens next? Because there is no screenshot of what happens next, what we think. Because the first screenshot here or this rendering is customize your news post, and it shows you that basically you go in and fill in the gaps of this prompt of, it's going to say create in this screenshot newsletter page for blah, and you would click on subject and fill in the subject and all, going through that experience. We think, it's a guess, it's a pretty good educated guess, that in between clicking that menu link and getting this screen, you pick what kind of page you want to create based upon template or whatever, and then you get to that screen that says, okay, what is this page about? What is this newsletter, in this case, about? I think the big component of this, because if you think about creating a SharePoint page, especially a template one, in the past, it has been you can go to, yes, we have templates, but you can go to a page and say create a copy and then edit it. Well, or you can go through and try to explain it to Copilot, cross your fingers, hope that it actually creates a page that's worthy of publishing, that you don't have to edit so much. And with the copying of a page, SharePoint page, and then being able to, make it find, replace kind of experience of manually going in and doing that, it seems like, you might have a better experience than this. Maybe. But I think it'll get better over time, but I'm not saying it's bad because I haven't tried it yet, so I don't know. But it will get better over time, and you people, us people, we will get better over time using it. But a big component of this, I think, is the ability to add documents, to give it flavor, to give it, here's documents that are pertaining to this that I want to make sure that you include, and give it that information it needs to create in that page. And, this is, and Darrell made this kind of comment, it's kind of a SharePointifying a document or multiple documents of taking those documents and saying, I want to create a page about this, especially a newsletter. It's kind of nice. What if you did a town hall and you have all the slides, that were prepared for that? Wouldn't it be great to create a SharePoint news page about that and publish that, saying, here's what the town hall was about. Here you go. So that's what this is about. Now, I think I think we'll get better at using this functionality over time, Darrell, as we have with Copilot in general. People have gotten better as they've been using it. Do you think that this prompt templating, it's what it seems like, helping us engineer these prompts, will help in this space of creating pages like this?
I think it will. It's something, one of my observations about the updates announced at Microsoft Ignite, there was Copilot Actions, followed a similar kind of pattern where here's a template for a prompt, fill in the blanks. You can choose your variables, you can give it a subject, you can reference documents or people or the like. And I really like that pattern for a starting point. Those, of course, who know exactly what they want, or who might even want to copy and paste something that they've used every time. Like, let's just take the same prompt from the last town hall that we used to generate another follow-up page that brings all the resources together. Maybe they need a blank button to say, yeah, forget all that guidance, let's just copy and paste what we want. But I think, in general, this is going to have a really positive impact on user adoption, for creating pages, and perhaps even encourage more people to create SharePoint pages, to let them know, hey, it's not this big scary thing that only SharePointy people can do.
If it's good, I agree with you. Like, if it does a good job, and even it talks a little bit about working in conjunction with the ability to use the SharePoint design ideas.
Right.
And so I think if it does a good job, I agree with you. It will help people get over the hurdle of, I've got to create sections, and should I put background? How many columns should I have in this section? How do I stack these things? What if it gave you a good starting point? Now, something you have talked about quite a bit, I want to highlight though, is will all of our pages start looking the same? Because just like when we are getting prompts in email about how to say things, and it's not really our words, it's computer words, maybe the Copilot will be like, well, I'm always going to use how the hero, we can do the alternating word, image, word. Well, that's actually bad reading form, because people in and I can't even remember what you call it from the linguistic kind of, where we read on the left side to the right, others read right to left, but in English we read left to right, and so we're going to look mostly at the left. So doing that alternating business actually is bad form. It is. Will it become that, where pages are very, very similar? I don't know. Like, I could tell this one was created by Copilot.
Yeah.
I don't know. Targeted release beginning to roll out mid-January 2025 and expected to be completed by late January. General availability worldwide begin rolling out mid-February 2025, completed by late February 2025. Darrell, let's move it on along. I'm creating a list of what we're talking about, and I want to share that with you in Teams. So tell me how I can do that and make a great experience for that sharing.
Well, it doesn't change, does it? You still grab a link. Oh, or does it? All right, Microsoft Teams improved Microsoft Lists links in Teams chats and channels. Looks like it is going to change, Daniel. MC 939930. Change, but change only a little. Change for consistency. Did I say the trigger word there? Yeah? You like consistency? I know Daniel does.
Consistency.
Yeah, right. So what happens when you share a link to a document today and you drop it into a Teams chat or channel? You get a nice little tile. You get the ability to even perhaps change the permissions of the link. Is it a org-wide link, or is it just for people in the chat? And you might even get a hint too to say, I'm going to check permissions now, because you remember this part here. It says, oh, not everyone can access this. You're going to need to change the permission so that people can read this. So if that all feels familiar, that's all coming to lists links as well. If you want to share a list, a link to a SharePoint list, drop it into chat, drop it into channels, then you're going to get the same consistent experience. I think that's great. I think it is going to help share more lists, point people to that, but also make sure that we don't have any kind of callbacks to say, you know what, I couldn't access that. You have the opportunity to adjust those permissions. It's a good message here with a nice screenshot to show what that looks like, so I know what I'm describing. Actually, highly likely that it's going to be that. Daniel, it's a simple update, but do you see this being useful?
I do. I think like you said, consistency, it's important, and people are used to it. I feel like any link from any service in Microsoft should have that very similar, I was about to say path, but it's more like the view experience of, logo, the path, the link, all of that should be the same experience. So I like it.
Yeah. I just noticed this though, Daniel. There are 3 things you might link to in a list. Yeah. You might take a link to the whole list. You might take a link to the item in the list, or maybe even the form that you want people to fill out to create an item in the list. Mm-hmm. So each of those are going to create a link card, a layer to adjust the permissions, and there's just some variation between them, but do check out those details. So for targeted release, begin rolling out early January 2025, expected complete mid-January, and general availability worldwide, we will begin rolling out in mid-January. This should be on a t-shirt, Daniel. Worldwide. Mid-January 2025, expected to be complete early February 2025. All right. Moving on to our next message, Daniel. We're in SharePoint still?
Yeah.
We're going to be in SharePoint still. Okay, well, go ahead. You might need to do your stretches before you actually cover this one.
Okay. Microsoft... this is a long title. Microsoft SharePoint. Enhanced functionality to manage SharePoint embedded containers in SharePoint Admin Center. MC 939926.
You didn't pull a muscle doing that. Wow,
no, I didn't, but there's 3 SharePoints in there. This is SharePoint Embedded. It is that API-only kind of functionality where we can store content with that rich SharePoint functionality, one of which being loop pages, workspaces, right? I mean, that's where we're putting that stuff.
That's right.
But this is bringing additional functionality for admins in SharePoint Admin Center so that we can do things like sorting and filtering. So, when you're looking at the containers, because you're going to have a lot of containers, to be honest. Mm-hmm. So when you go to that location in the SharePoint Admin Center and you say containers, you can look at active containers, and you can, filter by application, by publisher, Loop being one of those, but there's many others you could have, and assign roles. So you're able to do that. But the biggest one but one that I deal with more often, and we talked about this quite a bit when we were talking about Loop, is able to manage and add a sensitivity label to a container. And this way we have the ability to manage not just SharePoint sites, but these containers of SharePoint embedded containers with sensitivity labels, so that we can do some cool things. And maybe we'll talk about sensitivity labels later in the show. So I'm for this, Darrell, I think it's a little bit simple. Oh, we can filter and we can sort. Great. I mean, that's real functionality. I mean, don't get me wrong. We can, manage those user roles, but being able to put those sensitivity labels for me is probably the maybe most important part of this announcement for me. So what do you think?
It's adding needed administration capabilities for SharePoint containers. We know we've mentioned Loop a few times in this, and this will unblock some of the organizations who haven't been able to use or roll out Loop because they want to be able to administer those containers, assign new owners or additional owners, reassign. The sensitivity labels is a key thing there too. So good to see that this GUI experience, this UX, to be able to do that within the admin center.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's rolling out to general availability worldwide beginning mid-November. It already has rolled out to my tenant. And expect to complete by late December 2024. Darrell, I would like to see if I can create an avatar with this really shocking photo that I have of myself with my hair standing up. It's going to be great. Yep. Tell me how I can do that, sir.
Well, that's actually the update, is that you can create avatars based on photos. Microsoft Teams Let's start again. Microsoft Teams creating an avatar from a photo will soon be GA. This is MC 937922. Look, I got to be honest, Daniel, I think you're the same. I mean, I haven't spent a lot of time creating an avatar, changing clothes, dressing up clothes, I think you can create a few versions of them in case you want to switch between formal and informal type meetings. But what this is going to make available, or much, much easier, is using a photo. So Daniel and I, we want to cut now to that experience. And we recorded this separately, but we thought we'd have a bit of fun, see if we can create one of these and see what it comes up with based on the photos that we give it. Let's see that. Okay, here we go, Daniel. This is the Avatar app, which some of our audience may have already been looking at this and done it themselves. You go into your app store and find Avatar and add it if it is available in your organization. But here we are, in our new option, create from photo. This should be fun.
Yes, let's do it.
To see what it comes up with.
See what it does.
All right. Allow avatars to access your device. Yeah, sure. Use a photo.
Oh, hi there.
Should I let it take a photo of me, or should I pick one? You know, I'm going to let it use this photo because the one that I had has my eyes closed.
Oh.
I thought that might be fun, but let's see. I should probably
you could close your eyes now.
Oh, why not? Why not? Hang on. As a true test.
Yes.
Let's try it. Okay. So take a photo. I don't know if it does a countdown or not.
Okay, I'll tell you.
Okay. Because you can see my screen, of course.
Yeah.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, clicking.
I will say it's not sharing the screen anymore.
Oh, it is not. Because it took a photo, and I'll reshare my screen, and I'm happy with the result. It'll actually be a good test.
I couldn't give you the. I don't know if it's counting or not. I have no idea.
Yeah, no. It there you go. What do you think?
Oh my. Okay. Cool.
Okay. So confirm the photo.
Mm-hmm.
Use the photo. Fine. Let's run with that, and let's see what it comes up with. Oh, really? I've got to go through this? All right, let's just quickly pick stuff.
Wow.
I'm roughly that. And next. Oh, okay. So I still had to choose my skin color.
Which is
But
weird.
it's going to figure out everything else. That's what it looks like.
Yeah. That's interesting. That
It is. Confirm your skin color.
right. Shouldn't it be?
I'm very white and shiny in the sun.
Yeah.
Hey, how about that? Not too bad. It's got my eyes open though.
Yeah, no.
This is definitely me. I mean, it found my soul patch.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go with that.
Interesting.
And
then
I can choose my clothes.
Oh my!
All right, I'm not going to make us watch Darrell go to a virtual clothing store and figure stuff out. I could just choose anything here. Body shape. Oh, look, that's probably me right now. Next. And I thought it was going to choose my clothes for me. I'm just going to go with
It's
this.
definitely not.
No, I like orange. Yeah, that'll do. We're done. Save the avatar.
Okay.
I want to see how well it does with yours, Daniel.
Okay.
So I'm going to stop sharing.
Okay, fine. This should be terribly exciting, let me tell you. Here we go.
Yeah, why not?
I'm going to click Create from Photo, upload the image. One thing that I didn't understand, though, with your experience, now let's see if it does it for me. How come it didn't... Did you click to create,
Yeah, I did.
Okay. It's like
I
it
had
shouldn't
my
ask
mouse
you to
over
take
the
a
button.
Okay.
And
we
then
go.
I clicked it, and that's when it stopped sharing.
Use a photo. Why am I picking skin color? I have no
So I'm not seeing that right now.
What?
On the shared screen, it's just showing a gradient. I don't get to see skin color.
Oh.
Did you see that
Yeah.
on when we were
Yeah.
recording mine?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, so it's skipping past all that. It's now creating your avatar.
No, I saw it. So I picked the skin color.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Nope.
You don't like it?
No, I don't. That's not even close to me. I mean, look
if
at that
it was
one.
going to,
Like, what the...
no, it's not. That one's wrong. I think the closest would be the middle one.
I guess.
Yeah.
Why? Because it has a beard? I mean...
No, well, yeah.
But, I don't know.
I mean, your eyes aren't that thin. And it hasn't picked up that you've got blue eyes.
No.
Can you adjust it? Well, I didn't try that before. There is no adjustment. I guess you'd have to go back
I can do
one, right?
skin tone. This is what I'm doing now. But there's no eye.
Doesn't really give you an opportunity to change it, does it?
No, it sure doesn't.
Right.
Cool.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you are
Interesting
under
is-
no compulsion, Daniel, to choose and go with anything here.
Interesting
You could
is
probably...
the right word to use. I mean...
It's a great likeness.
There we go.
It's fantastic.
But I was wearing a black... yeah, there we go. Sure.
So it doesn't choose clothing to match what's in your photo.
Right. Which, that's why I picked that photo to begin with,
Right.
because it was black and I wanted to give me a black shirt.
So it's really just approximating your face, facial features.
Well,
That's
when
it.
you say save and edit, what do you get to do?
I think you can
primary
go back in
color.
and change stuff.
Yeah, so you can change... Ooh, I can have a red shirt underneath my gray jacket.
Yep.
That's exciting. Okay, but what about...
Looks like you could go back in and change your face if you're not happy with how it's changing that. I've got tortoiseshell glasses.
Nice. You do? Okay. But what about eye color? There's face. You could tell.
I can see eyes. I can see eye color. Yep, you can change eye color.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing that in the recording here for you. Maybe it'll come on the...
Yeah, I think... Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah. So, okay.
Green.
Cool.
Wow, not that green though.
No.
Olive
All right,
green,
well...
grey green.
It
It did a thing.
It did a thing. I don't know, people.
Yeah.
Maybe you can vote
You
on
going to
my...
use it for your meetings?
No. I'm not going to. I don't.
I'm
I
so
don't do
disappointed.
avatars.
All right.
I just don't. But
Well, there you go.
I mean, people give it a shot. And see. Let us know. What you come up with.
Yeah. All right. Back to the message. We're done.
Yay.
Okay. Interesting results.
Very interesting, and I think having those options to create a more formal one and create we can have 3 per user. So creating a more formal one or creating a more relaxed one is a good option. I don't. If you're going to use this functionality, see, I already prefaced that. If you're actually going to use this, I think, starting from a photo is the best way to go about it. It's more, at least I don't know. Sometimes we have a different view of ourselves. And, when we present ourselves in a way, avatars or others, and people go, that's not you. Maybe having a little assistance from the computer telling us what we actually look like is best.
It feels like a Copilot journey, doesn't it? Where we're getting help for making a good start, and then we can adjust the results. I don't like my nose and how teams thought that my nose looked, so I'm going to adjust that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting, it's fun, and helps people along that path if you want to start using avatars. Good message, if I can say this, Daniel. And we've got a picture, we've got a lot of good references about what to do, what to expect. Even some of the technical requirements and limitations for using this. Definitely have to be using New Teams 2.1, which surely most people are on that by now, but who knows. Anyway, that was fun. It was fun to be able to do that with you, Daniel, and see what the results are. The general availability will begin rolling out mid-November. As you can see, it was on screen for both of us and expected to be complete late November. Let's finish on something that I think is also an unblocker, a good piece of functionality that's going to help us with Copilot this time.
Indeed, Microsoft Purview, data loss prevention, restrict Microsoft 365 Copilot using content with sensitivity labels. Preview. MC 937930. So one, big preventer organizations have come across is that data is just not secured in the way it should be. And if you were paying attention, you're able to attend virtually or in person at Ignite. You've seen the announcements. You've read the blog post. There's a lot about Copilot. Yes, Copilot. Every session was about AI and Copilot. But it was also about how can we secure our content? How can we make sure? Because frankly, organizations haven't been doing it correctly for a very long time. And that is a problem because we've been oversharing. We've been not putting things where it needs to be. We've not been really taking care and making sure we get rid of content that's no longer applicable. So what this is allowing us to do, what we've been doing prior to now, let's say this, really our only option has been to basically remove content from the search index, which would remove it from Copilot's ability to use it. But it's a little bit about like throwing the baby out with the bathwater, meaning you are saying whole swaths, if not your entire organization, I'm going to remove all that content until I fix it. And if you do that, then you're losing a whole lot of functionality in your applications to find content because it's removing it from search, not just from Copilot. Well, what we're able to do now with this preview of this functionality is to say, if there's content that you're creating a policy for your labels, and you can turn on that for Microsoft 365 Copilot to basically prevent that content that has that label applied to it for Copilot not to use it. It will completely ignore that content. So it is now Copilot's respected labels before, so able to, meaning if you generate content, for instance, in Word, and you point to another document and say, summarize that document over here, and that original document had a label, it would actually inherit the label in the new document. It did that automatically. Copilot's able to do things like that, but it's not been able to say, oh, I'm not going to use it, because on the Purview side, it didn't have that functionality to mark it as such. So Darrell, there's a lot of announcements, and this is one of probably, off the top of my head, 5 or 6 that were announced at Ignite, talking about how to secure the data, giving you levers and switches and buttons to push to make it more refined than just, I'm going to cut off my leg and, say we're getting rid of all that content out of search because we're afraid, to be able to kind of manipulate it to where we're actually able to start using Copilot a little bit more while we kind of change our posture, our security posture. So do you think, Darrell, that with this and other messages like that about and other announcements like it, organizations will use Copilot more or be willing to use Copilot more?
What I like about this one is, and it's one of the benefits of labels, it goes beyond the boundaries of the document being somewhere. So if it is shifted somewhere else, Copilot's still going to have to treat it the same way based on the label. And, the label is not just about Copilot and protecting it in that sense. It is just saying that now Copilot can leverage and consume that. I think it's also good too because, again, it's a clear symbol. It's about consistency. That label that we have started to see across our documents, our sites that we're in, our messages and the like, these labels are becoming a theme wherever we're working. And, of course, Copilot should respect and show that too, or rather make decisions about how it presents it and who it presents it to based on those labels. So, it's going to be an unblocker, and definitely would encourage organizations to, if you haven't looked at labels already, to take a closer look and start thinking and planning around how best to roll those out.
I agree with that. I think it will be interesting to see how organizations, and I'm excited to help organizations do it, to really navigate this, because it is something that is something that you really going to need to understand and figure out which levers and buttons and switches to do in what order or in what groupings and everything to make it work for you. And every organization, I think, is going to be different, based upon experience, based upon policy, etc. It's going to be different for every organization, I think. So it's going to be pretty exciting. I think the thing, just want to point out that it will be, admins have to, create these labels and then publish them out. So obviously before they can be used. This is rolling out our public preview mid-November 2024, completed by mid-December. And general availability is not actually being announced right now, but will be updated. They said they're going to update this message later to add the plan for general availability. So that is just a reminder that, we need to keep track of the messages. You need to have a plan of attack for your messages and how it's affecting your organization. And it doesn't mean that, or just because you've read one message and come up with a plan doesn't mean you shouldn't revisit it. You will need to have, not just for this message, in particular, for others, to revisit them when timelines change, limitations are added, as well as, when rollout is happening for general availability, as in this case. So be looking out for that. That is the episode, everyone. We hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
I did.
Oh, good. Thank you so much for watching this episode. That's a little extended, but I think it's well worth it. And I'm so glad that you were able to join us.
Yeah, so look at that. We are up to episode 360 next time. So
indeed,
join us then.
Yes.
Bye for now.